We are not Venom. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Breakdown. Today we're going to be talking about Venom. And boy, do I have a review for you guys. Woo! Alright, so first of all, I just wanted to say that when the first Venom trailer came out, I was really skeptical. The whole idea of having a Venom movie without Spider-Man, I was very skeptical about. As a Marvel fan, as a huge Spider-Man fan, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that, but Sony, if you want to do it, go for it. Just don't mess with Marvel Spider-Man in the MCU. I watched the trailer and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I thought Venom looked weird. The CGI wasn't done yet, so I was 50-50 on it. I was going to go in with an open mind and, just see what they would come out with. And before I even get into any of the review, guys, I want you guys to know that I am reviewing this as a film. I love Spider-Man and I love the Marvel comics, but I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know all the stories, I don't know all the theories, but I'm not here to review the fan theories. I'm not here to review how it compared to the comics. I'm here to review it as a movie in itself. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on Venom as a film. So let's get right into it. My initial thoughts coming out of the theater were, I immediately compared it to Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was a movie that I didn't like very much, but I thought there were things in it that could have been great. The way I see it, for me, I liked 25% of Suicide Squad, and I did not like 75% of the movie. And that's how I see this movie. My initial reactions were that I didn't really like the movie, but there were some things in there that I thought were cool. That's basically what it is. And I gotta give a shout out to one of my boys that I saw walking out of the theater. Felipe, shout out, bro. How you doing? I talked to him for quite a bit afterwards, and I told him, look, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really like it. And he was of the mind of, dude, I'm sorry, but I really like the film. And that's totally cool, man. I mean, he's a huge Venom fan. He's a huge comic fan. So for him, even though the story was different, he thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's totally fine, guys. We are all gonna have our opinions. He explained to me why he liked it, and I have to say, man, I respect his opinion. And I told him why I didn't really think it was that great. That's something that we're gonna differ on, and it's totally fine. But I was glad to hear someone else's perspective and the fact that somebody else enjoyed the film. So I gotta give props to that. So usually at this point is where I would jump into the things that I do like, and then I would talk about the things that I don't like. But guys, I hate to be the negative Nelly. I have to start with the negatives because there's just so much more negatives than there is positives. So right off the bat, the thing that I did not like the most was the script. I thought the dialogue in this movie was terrible. I thought the lines that these actors were saying were terrible. I mean, you have Michelle Williams, you have Tom Hardy. These are Academy Award nominated actors. These guys are amazing. Riz Ahmed, also a guy that's a great actor, and I just thought, why are you making him say these lines? Guys, I'm going to try to make this as much non-spoiler as I can, but in order for me to express my grievances, I kind of have to give you some insight on it. I'm going to tell you right now, the first 45 to an hour, it felt like an hour, but it could have been the first 45 minutes of the movie, you don't see Venom. There's no Venom. It's just Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams and a little bit of Riz Ahmed, and I gotta say, it was absolutely boring. It was terrible. Guys, I literally kept looking at my watch, and I was just like, man, it just felt so disjunctive. It felt so rushed. It just felt stale. And the relationship between Michelle Williams and Tom Hardy, I did not believe at all. It felt like a forced relationship. It felt like the actors were just reading their lines. Like, it was awkward too. That's the best word to describe it. I felt that their relationship was awkward at best. Like, not a lot of great dialogue, and you just are supposed to believe that these two are in a relationship. And to be honest, I was just kind of like, okay, what else do you have, So the first 45 minutes, the script was just disastrous to me. The plot line too, the storyline, I didn't think was great. Obviously, you have, the symbiote and how he gets it and all that stuff. Those are things that we kind of figure are coming along. But everything that happens afterwards, kind of the real meat of the movie, I thought the storyline was kind of dumb, was kind of weak. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's spoilery, but all I'll say is that, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a huge Venom fan, but I thought there was only one Venom, I mean, that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to say any more. But to me, I was just like, what? Like, okay, but I went along with it. I gotta say, guys, I felt that the editing was an issue too. Like within that first hour, I just felt like there were so many jump cutty scenes. You know, a scene where like you're doing this and you hear it and then boom, you jump into another thing, and it's like so roughly edited. I'm not an expert editor either, but you could tell it when you see it. It's kind of like in BVS, Batman vs Superman, the first theatrical cut that they came out. You just went from one scene to the other with no explanation. You're like, wait, what's going on? How did we go from there to this? And then eventually when they released the longer cut, they showed like, oh, okay, these are the scenes that got cut out. So it just felt rushed to me, and I thought, guys, you can do so much better than this. And then on top of it, kind of spoilery, I guess, you don't get Spider-Man. There's no Spider-Man. I mean, we kind of figured that was what was going to happen. There were rumors that you might see Peter Parker walking around in the background. No connection to it whatsoever, so I thought that was a huge miss, but I felt that from the beginning. I was like, how are you gonna give me a Venom movie without Peter Parker, without Spider-Man? That's, to me, that's like giving me like a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Jack Sparrow, or something along those lines. You get what I'm saying, guys. I also felt that the tone of the movie was kind of shifting up and down. It wasn't as bad as like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it was just like super serious, then really funny, then really dumb, or, you know, silly, and like just, it wasn't that bad. But I do feel that there were parts where, you know, it kind of was meant to be a scary movie, was kind of meant to be creepy, and then out of nowhere you'd get like a one-line joke like, hey, yeah, look at this, and it was just like, oh, okay, that's kind of jarring, but, you know, all right. So I do think there were some issues with that, and like I said, that might be factoring into the script, the storyline, the editing. And I do have to say that, sure, once that first hour was over with, the middle of the story did get better, but then the third act again, for me, it kind of fell apart. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I thought the ending was lame. I mean, you could watch it, make your opinion of it, but I thought the way that the movie ended was kind of lame. It just kind of like, oh, well, we need to end the movie now, so let's have this happen, and then boom, there you go. And also, without giving too many spoilers, I have to say that the switch from Venom being a villain to kind of an anti-hero that they try to do in this film, it just doesn't make sense to me, because it's all of a sudden, it's last minute, and all I'm gonna say is there's a line that they use to literally explain it, which is basically, I like it here now. It's something along those lines, and I was just like, really? Just like that? It's, you know, I'm an anti-hero now, so let's, you know, I don't want to give spoilers, guys, but you get what I'm saying. It was just some of these lines that were being used I thought were kind of silly. And another thing, guys, Tom Hardy is such a great actor. I love him in so many other films, but in this, I don't know if it's just how the script made him portray Eddie Brock, but I'll tell you right now, I did not believe him as a reporter for 1 second. I did not believe that Eddie Brock was this guy that, you know, the symbiote would just kind of attach to and be like, oh, this is someone that's worthy, or it's like, it's a good connection. They just made him seem kind of like, not a bumbling fool, but they just kind of made him seem like a poor man's version of a reporter. I mean, supposedly in the movie he's this big time reporter, he has his own segment, and it just didn't feel believable. At the end of the day, Eddie Brock's character just did not feel believable, and I don't want to pin that on Tom Hardy. I honestly feel like it's a script or the director. So yeah, guys, at the end of the day, to me, a lot of the film just felt forced. It felt like they were trying so hard to make a good Venom movie when in reality they didn't need to. I mean, what is the point of doing this movie without Spider-Man, without, you know, I know you're trying to do a Sinister Six, you guys had that going, but it didn't end up well. Anyways, I digress. Oh, and also, there is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene, and I have to tell you, man, the mid-credit scene was lame too. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you already know what it is because it's been all over the internet, but I'll be honest, to me it was just like, oh, you're gonna tag that on to kind of make it up to me, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, guys. I'm sorry. I wanted this movie to be good. I mean, Venom as a character, and I'll get into some positives. There were some things that I liked about this movie, but I just wanted this movie to be so much better, and it just failed for me on so many fronts. It reminded me of Suicide Squad, which is not a good endorsement. It reminded me of Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is not a good endorsement, and I love Spider-Man, and I hated that movie, and this reminded me of that. So I got a little passionate, guys. I'm sorry, but let's get to those positives, because I swear there are some. Okay, so as I was saying, the first hour I did not like. As soon as you get like the middle 25% of the movie, kind of the second act, where you start getting Tom Hardy and the symbiote and all that stuff, I did enjoy. I thought the movie picked up and I was like, okay, now we're going somewhere. Yeah, definitely. And that's where I thought the biggest positive lied in. As soon as you introduce Tom Hardy and Venom, I think both of those characters, when they're both on screen, are probably the best part of the movie. When you have Tom Hardy and Venom kind of talking to each other or fighting for, you know, the control of the body and this and that, I thought that was so much fun, their interaction, and that's where some of the jokes did actually hit. Not all of them, but I did think that that dynamic of having Tom Hardy and Venom on screen at the same time were awesome, because there are a lot, probably like 70% of the movie is either one or the other on screen. And I thought it didn't work. I thought it worked best when both of them were together. So that was definitely a huge positive. I also thought that one thing that the directors did very well with this film was the demeanor of Venom. And what I mean by that is that when you see Venom kind of take control and you finally see him start, fighting, and when you start seeing him kind of run and jump and crawl on buildings and stuff, it reminded me of the Venom that I know from the Ultimate Spider-Man game. You know, that video game where you could play as Spider-Man and Venom? That's what it reminded me of. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I feel it. In the end, I wasn't completely in love with the look of Venom, but I thought they did a lot better job than in the Spider-Man 3 movie, which I didn't hate that Venom, but I just thought the look wasn't there, and I thought the look for this one was better. Maybe they could have done a little more with the CGI, but in the end, the demeanor that Venom had and kind of that deeper, raspier voice, I was like, okay, yeah, this is the Venom that I'm kind of knowing, and I just wish that the overall movie around that Venom would have been better, but it was still a highlight of the movie. I also have to say that, like I mentioned, the mid-credit scene was a disappointment for me, but I do have to say that the end credit scene was awesome. And I'm gonna say kind of what it is, because it's not really a spoiler at this point. At the end credits, at the very end of the credits, you get kind of an extended look into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is also a Sony movie. It's basically a trailer that's already out. You could probably watch it online, but I hadn't seen that trailer, and so when it came up at the end, I was like, yo, this is fun. Like, I really like it. So stay after the credits for the extended Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say that I thought that was a positive, but I was like, honestly, I was like, that was one of the better parts of this movie was a trailer for another movie. Oh gosh, man. I'm sorry if you really love this movie, but I just have to be honest, man. I walked out of there pretty disappointed. And I know a lot of people that enjoy this film, and I'm just like, guys, I'm sorry. It wasn't for me. It just didn't hit with me. So yeah, guys, those are all my positives for this movie. Honestly, I just feel like this was a missed opportunity for Sony, and for Venom itself, the character. I mean, look, that character is really cool, and I really wanted this to be his coming out party, even though it was without Spider-Man, even though I did kind of think that we were going to see Peter Parker somewhere in there. As of right now, the movie has been doing very well. I think it's at like $80 million for the first opening weekend. So yeah, guys, I mean, obviously that's just my opinion. Other people think otherwise. We'll see how it goes. And, based on how this movie does, it's gonna dictate what Sony does with some of the other Spider-Man villains and what they're gonna do with their, Spider-Man-less universe. At the end of the day, guys, I do have to say that this is not a movie that I think people should be running out to see. I'm never going to say don't go see this movie, but I will say that I hope you take my thoughts into consideration and you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Who knows, maybe listening to me will help you lower your expectations, and then you'll be thoroughly surprised. So, I mean, that's great. Anytime we can support films, guys, I'm always there. So with all of that said, guys, that is the real breakdown for Venom. Unfortunately, I wish it could have been better, but you guys make your own decision. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'd be open to hearing what your thoughts are. Obviously, there are people out there like my friend that thoroughly enjoyed the film. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of those people. Go ahead and give this video a like if you liked it, and go ahead and subscribe for some other interesting videos that I have coming up. That's been the real breakdown for Venom, and we will see you guys next time.